So, what is public administration? So, before we begin our discussion on public administration, the significance of the word public and meaning of the word administration and the course of evolution of administration, its significance, its unificatory value in our society, its impact zone, and lot many things. Before we discuss public administration, we need to understand and appreciate certain basic things without which your understanding of administration will be very hollow and not so much substantive in nature. What is that? Do you know what is cooperation? All of us are familiar with the word cooperation. So each one of you, everybody knows what is cooperation, but in a very specific term, what exactly the cooperation is. It has been the subject matter of research for the scholars of public administration. What is cooperation? And why do we need cooperation? And how do we ensure that cooperation takes place on sustained basis? Answers to these three questions constitute the nature, content, and scope of administration to begin with. What is cooperation? Cooperation is a behavioral phenomenon. When two or more persons decide willingly to make collective effort or collective contribution to accomplish a common end, that is known as cooperation. So two or more persons, they are making collective effort willingly. They are making collective effort to accomplish a common end. It's known as cooperation. अप्लाई करके देख लो आप सड़क पे कहीं जा रहे हो, ट्रेन में कोई व्यक्ति किसी काम में फंस गया है, किस तरह से किसी चीज़ में उलझ गया, तो आपसे कहता है प्लीज़ हमारे साथ कोऑपरेट कीजिए. कोई एक्सीडेंट हो गया सड़क पे, 2, 4, 5, 10 लोग इकट्ठे हुए, भाई साहब जरा कोऑपरेट कीजिए. आप लोग कोऑपरेट करते हैं, कोऑपरेट करके उस व्यक्ति को निकालते हैं, उसे लेकर के फिर हॉस्पिटल लेके चले जाते हैं, एडमिट करा देते हैं, ट्रीटमेंट करवा देते हैं. क्या था उसमें? कोऑपरेशन. टू और मोर पर्सन्स दे मेक कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन विलिंगली. किसी को फोर्स नहीं किया जाएगा भाई साहब कोऑपरेट करना है आपको, ऐसे नहीं होता है. टू और मोर पर्सन्स दे आर मेकिंग कलेक्टिव एफर्ट willingly without any coercion to accomplish a common end. Cooperation can be said to have come into existence. And if two or more persons are pursuing their individual interests, so they will be moving in different directions, no cooperation will ever take place. So cooperation is towards the accomplishment of a common end. Next, why do we need cooperation? Why do we need cooperation? We need cooperation because what we can accomplish through our collective effort, we cannot accomplish in our individual capacity or through our individual effort. Whosoever you may be, howsoever talented, howsoever competent you may be, you cannot accomplish in individual capacity what you can accomplish as a part of a bigger group or community. So we need cooperation to accomplish bigger ends. Okay. You need cooperation to accomplish bigger ends. Then what could be the other reason for cooperation? Because all of us do suffer from one other kind of limitations. Each one of us suffers from one other kind of biological, psychological, emotional, intellectual limitations. You are good at something and you are pathetic at something else, or very poor. But the other person, he is good at those things in which you are very poor. Getting your point? All of us do suffer from one other kinds of limitations, but we suffer from one other kind of limitations on a differential note. We have limitations, but limitations are different. So when we come together, we make collective effort, we compensate for the deficiencies of one another. As a consequence of which, we ultimately we accomplish something which none of us could accomplish in individual capacity. This is, why do we need cooperation? This has been the main motivating force in cooperation in the history of mankind. Much earlier, from time immemorial, it has been taking place. The impact zone or the various dimensions of cooperative effort, it has been different from time to time, but cooperation has always been an integral part of our day-to-day life. What is clear? So cooperation is two or more person. Cooperation is about two or more persons making collective effort to accomplish a common end. And why do we need cooperation? Because we suffer from one of the kinds of limitations. So when we work together, we compensate for the deficiencies of one another, and finally we accomplish what none of us could accomplish in individual capacity. That's why we need cooperation. Then cooperation, if it takes place, sometimes it takes place, sometimes it does not take place, then our life will not be so much livable. So we realized it much earlier that there are certain areas where we need to work together or we need to cooperate with one another on sustained basis. It means we cannot afford to leave cooperation totally on whims and fancies of individuals. Yes, you can have your social life, you can decide that you want to be the part of this collective effort or not, but there are certain things which are extremely essential for our collective well-being. There are certain areas where we need cooperation on sustained basis. And there we would not like to depend on your likes, dislikes and preferences. So this must have taken place much earlier. Then cooperation was placed within the mold of some kind of rules, regulations, some kind of law, some kind of protocol, the value system, so that this cooperation could take place on sustained basis to provide one or other kind of services to the society. This is the zone of administration. This is the zone of administration. Administration, though it has been defined by the scholars different ways, but the core content of administration is all about organized collective effort towards the accomplishment of a common objective. When we think of administration, we think of collective effort. What kind of collective effort? Organized collective effort. It means administration is not about just a spontaneous or spasmodic cooperation among two or more persons. As and when they feel, they come together and they work together and they provide one other kind of goods and services to society. And after that, nobody knows what will happen. Tomorrow, I am not in the mood, I am not going to be the part of collective enterprise. No, in this way, you cannot think of running a society or government, whatever you say. So therefore, cooperation is the essential ingredient of administration, but not only cooperation, that cooperation is required to be organized. Organization of this cooperation, it means institutionalization of this cooperation, means administration. And now you can apply it to any kind of administration, public administration, private administration, or government's administration, private administration, social administration, any kind of organization where you have administration. All organizations have some kind of administration. So when you think of administration, large scale or small scale or public sector or private sector, social, cultural, in whatever form you think of administration, the core content of administration is all about organized collective effort towards the accomplishment of a common objective. You think of government of India, you think of police administration or military administration, or Reliance Industries or Tatas, or Mahindras, whatever be the nature of organization, irrespective of the nature of organization. Administration means that two or more persons, in terms of thousands and lakhs of persons, depending on the nature of organization, size of organization, but two or more persons, they are making collective effort. Such collective effort is not the outcome of the whims and fancies of such individuals. They may cooperate or they may not cooperate. No, two or more persons are making collective effort. Organized collective effort, institutionalized collective effort. It means such collective effort is taking place within the bounds of some kind of structure. They follow certain rules and procedures. Point clear? They follow certain rules and regulations. Their jurisdiction, their operational domain, their power, authority is defined. There's a lot of clarity. Everybody knows what he's supposed to do and what he's not supposed to do. What is his duty? Everybody knows there's a code of conduct, rules, regulations, everything is clear. That if you do not comply with the orders and commands issued by your superiors, then you will be punished. And if your subordinates do not comply with your order and command, then you can take punitive action against them. Things are definite to a great extent. Things are certain. So this is not an ordinary cooperation. A cooperation which is institutionalized and is imparted with the qualities of certainty, regularity, and predictability. This qualifies to be called administration. So in every administration, there is some kind of cooperation. But every cooperation is not administration. आप 4, 5, 10 लोग बाहर खड़े थे, एक एक्सीडेंट हो गया, आप 5, 6 लोग अच्छे लोग हैं, आपने बिल्कुल कोऑपरेट किया और परिवार वालों को भी घर से, गाड़ी में बहुत सारे लोग थे, उन सबको बाहर निकाला, 1-2 लोगों को इंजरी हुई और भी पब्लिक में बहुत सारे लोग इकट्ठे होकर के आ गए, आप सब लोगों ने उनको लेकर के आपने उनको हॉस्पिटल पहुंचा दिया, इस ढंग से वो काम कर लिया, हॉस्पिटल उनकी जान बच गई, सब कुछ बढ़िया, भाई साहब बहुत बढ़िया, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने कहा नहीं ये तो अपने स्टाइल में कह दिया आपने, ये तो मेरा फ़र्ज़ था, ठीक है, आपने कोऑपरेशन किया, लेकिन ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लिए क्वालिफाई नहीं कर रहा है, ये सिर्फ कोऑपरेशन है। अभी हुआ, उसके बाद फिर आप लोग अपने अपने काम में चले गए। भविष्य में फिर कोई ऐसी घटना घटेगी तो आप कोऑपरेट करेंगे, अच्छे इंसान हैं, जहाँ तक हो पाएगा और कोऑपरेट करेंगे, लेकिन इससे कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, कोई एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, इट डज नॉट कम इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस। लेकिन कोऑपरेट करने वाले लोग, उनमें किसी के दिमाग में एक आइडिया ऐसा है कि ये तो बहुत ही अच्छा काम है, ठीक है, एक मीटिंग करते हैं, कुछ एक ऐसा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हम लोग ओपन करते हैं, कोई नॉन गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऐसा होगा जो लोगों की मदद करेगा, जहाँ कहीं भी एक्सीडेंट होगा हम लोग वहाँ पहुँचेंगे, ठीक है, लोगों को हेल्पलाइन अपना नंबर दे रखेंगे और इस ढंग से हम लोग काम करेंगे। किसी के दिमाग में ये बात आई और आप 10-15 लोग इकट्ठे हुए और आपने उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक नाम रख दिया, मे आई हेल्प यू, जो भी आपको अच्छा लगे नाम रख दिया आपने, कोई उसका प्रेसिडेंट है, कोई वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है, कोई फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट देख रहा है, कोई एचआर देख रहा है, कोई पीआर देख रहा है, कोई कई तरह की चीज़ें, कोई गवर्नमेंट के साथ लाइजेनिंग में, कोई एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, या ये सारी चीज़ें हैं। लेकिन ये जो कलेक्टिव एफर्ट है, अब ये कलेक्टिव एफर्ट और ये कोऑपरेशन, ये ऑर्डिनरी कोऑपरेशन नहीं है, दिस इज इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज्ड कोऑपरेशन। वन केस यू आर वर्किंग विद इन द बाउंड्स ऑफ सर्टेन रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन, ठीक है, यू हैव अपॉइंटेड पर्सन्स टू वेरियस पोजीशन, वेल डिफाइंड अथॉरिटी, पावर, जुडिक्शन, ये सारी चीज़ें हैं, रूल्स, प्रोसीजर्स काफ़ी क्लियर हैं, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर वेल डिफाइंड, यू आर वर्किंग in cooperation with one another within the bounds of some kind of rules, regulation and law. So there is an institution, there is a structure which comes into existence. Matlab behavior, now the collective behavior and collective response of 2 or more persons, this collective response is predictable, it is certain. Point is clear? So this is something which is known as administration. So therefore administration is all about organized collective effort of 2 or more persons towards the accomplishment of any common objective. If this collective effort is taking place on behalf of the government, if this collective effort, organized collective effort, is taking place on behalf of the government, it's known as government's administration. So it will be known as public administration. So public administration is basically government's administration. And if this organized collective effort is taking place in a non-governmental setting, this is known as private administration. Administrative system, they are in the Reliance Industries or Mahindras or Maruti, whatever the company, this is known as private administration. And wherever the administration is taking place on behalf of the government, it is known as public administration. So administration is common to public administration and private administration. Or you can say administration at the top is concerned with organized collective effort towards the accomplishment of a common objective. Administration involves collective effort of two or more persons within the bounds of certain rules, regulations, procedure, the structure. So it is a systematized, institutionalized collective effort towards the accomplishment of a common end. This is known as administration. If this administration is taking place on behalf of the government, it is known as public administration or government's administration. If this administration is taking place on behalf of any private setting, private organization, private entity, is known as private administration. Honestly, administration is common. Administration is common. Then you have civil administration, you have military administration, public administration and private administration. I hope the point administration is clear. So I talked about, first of all, cooperation, significance of cooperation. Then I discussed that cooperation is not enough. The cooperation is required to be institutionalized if you want this cooperation on regular basis. Point is clear? If you want this cooperation to take place on regular basis to provide one other kind of goods and services to society. Okay, so then you develop certain structure, rules, regulations, protocol, lot many things. When this cooperation is placed in a formal mode of rules, regulations, structure, a lot many things, clear, it becomes coordination, and this coordination constitute the very core of administration. So when we talk about administration, we talk about organized collective effort, deliberate collective effort of two or more persons towards the accomplishment of a common objective. That is known as administration. Up to this point is clear? Now come to the word public. And thereafter I will show a diagram. The word public. The word public means public, common mass, people at large. You are not wrong, but this is not enough for the students of public administration to know. The word public has three dimensions. The word public. In the first meaning, the word public, the first of the word public is anything which is associated with state or government. The first meaning of the word public is anything which is associated with the state or government. State or government rather than any private entity. First meaning of the word public. Anything which is associated with the state, any entity. Second meaning of the word public is that anything which is concerned with public at large, entire common mass, public at large, rather than a particular group or community within it. Third meaning of the word public is that anything which is concerned with transparency rather than secrecy. हम लोग कहते हैं ना, please make the report public. What does that mean? Please make the report public. You are looking for transparency, accountability. So the word public has three meanings. It is associated with government or state rather than any private entity. So therefore, when we talk about public administration, because of the word public, it means this is the administration associated with the state or government. The administration which functions on behalf of the state, on behalf of the government, administration which is an instrument in the hands of the government to accomplish certain ends, welfare, development, security of the people. The first meaning of the word public means anything associated with the state or government. So by that measure, public administration means that administration which is concerned or which acts on behalf of, which functions on behalf of the state or government. Second meaning of the word public is committed to common mass, public at large. As I discussed, common mass, public at large, rather than a particular group or community within it. When we talk about public interest, when we talk about public welfare, when we talk about public trust, generally we talk about the entire common mass. Point clear? Or any collectivity of the people. And when we mention a specific group or community, ठीक है, then the word public is qualified by something. Public means common mass, public at large. And if we have to refer to a particular group or community, then you need to identify that separately. What is clear? But the word public in general refers to the public at large, entire common mass, without any differentiation. And the third meaning, as I discussed, third meaning of the word public is transparency. Context of democratic, setting, democratic government, we know that public administration has to conform to the principles of transparency and accountability. So the word public has three meanings. If these three meanings of the word public, it is associated with administration, it becomes public administration. So if administration is taking place on behalf of the government or state, administration which is committed to public at large or common mass, and administration which is required to conform to the principles of transparency, it qualifies to be called public administration. And if you remove the word public, administration is there, but this is not the administration on behalf of the state or government. This is not the administration committed to public at large. It is committed to the cause of a particular group or community. You talk about Reliance Industries, it is not committed to public at large. It is more concerned with its shareholders, concerned with its customers, other stakeholders. It is not committed to public at large. We do not look up to Reliance Industries whenever we face any kind of problem. Point clear? So therefore, it does not conform to the requirement of the state or government. Reliance Industries is free from the government or state. It is not committed to public at large. It is committed to certain specific groups or communities. And then it is required, it is not committed to the cause of transparency to that extent. It is committed to maintain transparency in keeping with the requirements of law under which it is functioning. It is not required to declare everything in front of the public. But unlike public administration. In public administration, all of us have a stake, and therefore government has to make the things transparent. We have right to know what is happening. All of us have a stake in the government of India. So therefore, what is happening with our resources, what kind of decisions are being taken, what will be the consequence of that decision, to what extent government has been able to implement, what it had promised to us. We have every right to know all such things. So therefore, transparency and accountability is an integral part of the operations of public administration, integral part of you can say the profile of public administration. Public administration in a democratic setup has to conform to the requirement of transparency. Point clear? So the word public, three meanings of the word public: concerned with the state or government, then public at large, and third is transparency. Bring this word public with administration, organized collective effort towards the accomplishment of common objective. Bring them together, it becomes public administration. So public administration refers to sum total of all those activities which are carried out. Public administration refers to sum total of all those activities which are carried out on behalf of the state or government by a select group of individuals towards the accomplishment of a common objective. What? Public welfare, development, security. In conformity with the requirement of transparency. It's known as public administration. So public administration brings within its purview sum total of all those institutions, agencies, activities, all the functionaries who are associated with state and government, and in togetherness they are carrying out different kinds of activities: adjudicative functions, executive functions, quasi-legislative functions, developmental functions. Getting a point? Research and development kind of activities and functions. All such activities function, but ultimately they are committed to the cause of society at large. Welfare, development, security, and they conform to the requirements of transparency. That is public administration. Government's administration. So public administration is not only about police station or secretariat or directorate. Public administration brings with its purview sum total of all those institutions which act on behalf of the state. वो ट्रांसपोर्ट कॉरपोरेशन हो जिसकी बसें चल रही हैं, या फिर कोई बिजली विभाग हो, कोई कॉरपोरेशन हो, ठीक है, या फिर सेक्रेटरेट हो या डायरेक्टरेट हो, या फिर पुलिस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन हो, सीबीआई हो या ईडी हो, ठीक है, और बीएसएनएल हो, एमटीएनएल हो, ONGC हो, कोई भी public sector enterprises, or for that matter National Green Tribunal or administrative tribunal, जितने भी tribunals हैं, the tribunals, secretariat, directorate, all of them, all public sector undertakings, all of them constitute the scope of public administration. So public administration is basically government's administration. ठीक है, अपने आसपास चारों तरफ आप पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन देख सकते हैं. Generally, this is the way to look at it. What cannot be associated with legislature, which is not the part of legislature and not the part of judiciary, generally it ends up becoming the part of public administration. So public administration is structurally and functionally, it is very much differentiated, very wide and varied in nature. You have different kinds of institutions, different kinds of activities are being carried out. Otherwise, you have regulatory functions, or TRAI or IRDA, various regulatory bodies are there. Okay. Then you have developmental functions to be carried out, district administration, number of other agencies. You have policy making taking place in secretariat and then cabinet. Getting a point? Then you have tribunals with adjudicative functions. They adjudicate disputes on technical matters. Then public sector undertakings, PSUs, they carry out economic activities on behalf of the state for the welfare development of the society. They provide different kinds of economic services. So different kinds of activities, different kinds of functions all come within the bounds of public administration. Public administration is basically government's administration. Point clear? So public administration is not something new. If you see in terms of activities and functions, public administration has always been an integral part of all the governments, all societies, since from time immemorial, you can say. Okay, from time immemorial. But the nature, content, scope, operational domain of public administration has kept on changing from time to time. Okay, you have a warfare state or you have a welfare state. You have an agrarian society or you have an industrial society. Okay, your government is inspired by a political ideology. I would say inspired by socialist ideology, or the government is inspired by a capitalist ideology. All such things will have implications for public administration. It's a structure, its operational domain, its jurisdiction, getting a point, and its equation of relationship with society. So there are more than one factors which affect the personality of public administration. So there are two things to be understood. On the one hand, you have the word public. On the other hand, you have administration. This is known as public administration. Clear? Have a look on this. This is what I have discussed for your clarity. Public and then administration. The word public has three dimensions, the three meanings of the word public. Public means anything which is associated with government or state. Anything which is associated with government or state rather than any private entity. Then the word public means anything which is associated with public at large, common mass, rather than a particular group or community within it. Or transparency. Public means transparency. You have collective effort. Two or more persons are making ordinary collective effort is not administration. When this collective effort is well organized, everybody knows what is to do. Everybody in this collective effort, what is it is authority, power, jurisdiction, things are very much clear. So there's very so only it qualifies to be called administration. Now come to the word organized. Collective effort to be organized. How to organize that collective effort? For that you need some kind of structure. Suppose when you have 500,000 persons, they are making collective effort. So you need some kind of a structure. Organization, hierarchy, now this has become obsolete. Some kind of hierarchy, authority, control. So various positions of authority and responsibility properly connected to one another along vertical and horizontal line. A structure means some kind of limitation. A structure means some kind of boundary. I am not talking about physical structure. I am talking about structure which comes into existence because of defined power, authority, because of predetermined rules, regulations. A structure is something that does not allow overlapping of things. A good structure is the one which provides for very well dispersal of well organized, systematized dispersal of power, authority, responsibility along vertical and horizontal line. One is clear that the structure comes into existence. The moment I say that yes, this is your operational domain, this is your jurisdiction, you are not supposed to deal with this file. Why? Because you are deputy secretary, okay, or for that matter any position. At that position you can deal with such things. You cannot. Some kind of structure is there. Why? Because this is the exercise of authority of superior position. Then he will also exercise authority, on his subordinate, that what he can do, what he cannot. In this way, collective effort takes place without any division. A structure gives that shape to the collective effort. A structure does not allow unity of direction to be lost. So some kind of stuff, 500 persons making collective effort, if things are not very much clear, who is the president, who is the vice president, who is in PR and who is in HR department, who is in research and development, who is in purchase department, sales department, there will be wholesome circus and chaos. Therefore, a structure is required to be drawn. Various positions of authority and responsibility connected to one another along vertical and horizontal line with a clear cut, the clarity in terms of goals and objectives to be accomplished. And these goals and objectives are broken down again into sub-objectives and purposes. Without collective effort cannot be organized. Simple word में समझो, आप 500 लोग हो, आप डिसाइड करें ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाओगे, कलेक्टिव एफर्ट करोगे. कलेक्टिव एफर्ट, ऑर्गेनाइज कलेक्टिव एफर्ट कैसे होगा जब तक क्लैरिटी नहीं है कि आप लोगों में हर किसी की पोजीशन क्या होगी, इसकी अथॉरिटी क्या होगी, इसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या होगी, कौन किससे कैसे कनेक्ट करेगा. अथॉरिटी फ्लोज डाउनवर्ड्स, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मूव्स अपवर्ड्स. समझ के, तो ये सारी क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए. और सब लोग अगर इस ढंग से बंध गए, एक एक जगह पे सब अपने अपने पोजीशन पे आ गए, काफ़ी क्लैरिटी है, तो स्ट्रक्चर हैज़ कम इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस. तो make organized collective effort, first thing is required that of structure. That is structure. Then it is not enough to have a structure. You should have clarity regarding procedure, the specific way of doing the things. स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर अलग अलग पोजिशन पे जब लोग अथॉरिटी एक्सरसाइज करेंगे, so we start exercising authority, we start discharging our responsibilities, but we need to follow certain methods, certain process. Every work has to be done in a proper way. That is known as a procedure. अकाउंटिंग के अपने प्रोसीजर्स हैं, ऑडिटिंग के अपने हैं. ठीक है, हर काम जो आप कर रहे हो, कॉरस्पॉन्डेंस जो पूरा चल रहा है, प्रोसीजर हैज़ टू बी फॉलोड. कोई भी एक कॉरस्पॉन्डेंस, कोई भी एक रिपोर्ट, डॉक्यूमेंट जो आप रिसीव करते हो, उसको नोट करते हो, फिर आप उसके नेचर को देखते हो, फिर उसको ऊपर भेजते हो, जो रिसीव करेगा वो भी एक्नॉलेज कर. मतलब फॉर एवरीथिंग देयर इज ए प्रोसीजर. दैट प्रोसीजर brings predictability or certainty in the behavioral response of the members of organization. You need some kind of procedure, specific techniques, measures, means, process, formula, methodology, plan of action, etc. So for everything there is a procedure. If there is a procedure, there will not be any kind of chaos. One clear? It will contribute immensely in the organized collective effort. अगर procedure नहीं है, तो on the same question, on the same subject matter, response of the same person may be different on different days. Let alone different officials. They will respond differently on the same subject matter. So that will create some kind of uncertainty. The procedure has to be followed. And if you have well-defined rules, regulations and procedures, then you can enforce accountability. आपने ऐसा कैसे किया? प्रोसीजर ये है, आपका जुडिक्शन नहीं था, आपको ये काम नहीं करना था, और आप बताएं, you can enforce accountability. Control things. Clear? Procedure. Structure भी हो गया, procedure. फिर भी collective effort is not organized collective effort. अभी और बाकी है. Then you have to deal with behavior. This is the most difficult part. The collective effort. Human beings. How to deal with them. So behavioral aspect. It is just not enough to have a structure, a well-designed structure or well-defined rules, regulation and procedure. You need to understand and you need to work on behavior as well. Administrative behavior, the morale, motivation, communication, leadership, decision. Just think about 500 persons or 5,000, 5 lakh persons, they are working in an organization. So their likes, dislikes, preferences, behavioral infirmities, हर किसी का nature अलग अलग है. There is a limit beyond which training does not work. ठीक है, through training we can diffuse those qualities in your personality which are not desirable, or we can infuse in you something which will which is going to help you to discharge your responsibilities in a better way. But still, distinct identity as a person, your distinct identity as a person, your likes, dislikes, preferences, overall your profile, which has developed or evolved over a long period of time, cannot be overshadowed, cannot be destroyed by the organization. There can be a little bit of tampering. There's no doubt about that. So, most of the problems in the organization, most of the problems do emanate from the human behavior. So, you are required to take care of behavior. Organized collective effort means that you will have to deal with human behavior as well. You have a well-defined structure, you have rules and procedures, but there can be a problem related to low level of morale and motivation, lack of communication. The leadership is not doing well, the decision making, there's a problem with the decision making. So you need to deal with the behavioral aspect as well. Point clear? So structure, then procedure, then behavior, finance. However good you may be in terms of structure or procedure, behavior, everything, but finance. Finance is the lifeblood of any organization, we say. So without finance, you cannot move ahead. Your best of your ideas will keep gathering dust. You need finance and financial management. Organized collective effort. Two or more persons, they are making collective effort. They are required to be provided with different kind of support. They are required to be provided with salary, the remuneration, emolument, so that they could deal with their individual, they could take care of their individual interest. Then only they can contribute, towards the accomplishment of common ends or common interest. Are you getting a point? Without making arrangements for dealing with the individual interest of the members of organization, you cannot think of eliciting best of services from them towards the accomplishment of a common end. So finance is required to be taken care of. Through financial administration, through financial management, you take decision regarding what, where from the money would come, how this money is going to be allocated to different items of expenditure. Point is clear? So where from the money would come, how the money will be kept in safe custody, how the money will be deployed, how the different items of expenditure will be taken care of on the basis of priorities. Then you also save something for rainy days in future. Lot many things are there related to financial administration. This is also an integral part of organized collective effort. You are required to manage man, machine, material. So this man, machine, material, management, all such things are not possible, which is required for organized collective effort without money. You need money. Money, finance is a store of value. This store of value is required to be utilized. Why? So as to collect other values. Best of human resource, best of material resources, tools, technology, technique, management. Things can be brought with the help of finance. So finance is an integral part of organized collective effort. In fact, organized collective effort begins with finance, it is sustained with finance, and very often organized collective effort comes to an end if financially you are not sound. If you are not capable of managing finances, then this organized collective effort cannot be sustained over a long period of time. Point clear? Next, you have personal. This is also very important. You have a structure, you have procedure, you have taken care of behavior, the finance, personnel, the human resource, recruitment, appointment, training, promotion, service conditions, all such things are required to be taken. Those who are working with you, those who are making collective effort towards the accomplishment of common objective, you need to take care of that human resource. What kind of persons you need? Then the persons are required, right person at the right place to be appointed. Then you need to have a very good service. You need to have very encouraging and motivating. Service conditions should be also very much encouraging. So all such things are required to be taken care of so that you could draw the best of, or you can elicit best of the services from the members of organization. So human resources required to be managed. Now most of the things done. A structure. Then you have a structure or taken. Finance is also there. Then you are also managing, the human resource. What is required? One more thing. However good your organization may be, this collective effort has been organized on the basis of a very sound structure, well-defined rules and procedures, availability of finance, better management of human resource, lot many things are there. Still organization or this organized collective effort, this collective effort cannot be sustained over a long period of time if the element of dynamism is missing. Are you getting a point? Administration is about organized collective effort. And organized collective effort is not only about structure, procedure, finance, behavior, or personal management. It is also about keeping pace with the changes taking place around. The principle of dynamism. Howsoever good you may be in terms of these requirements, howsoever good you may be or sound you may be, no organization, no structure, no administration can hold perpetual relevance, because every administration, every organization is operating or working in a society, and society is never static. Societal conditions are constantly evolving and changing. केवल पृथ्वी ही हमेशा घूम नहीं रही है, रोटेशन और रेवोल्यूशन, सोसाइटी के साथ भी ऐसा ही है. ठीक है, जो समय निकल गया वो निकल गया. नथिंग रिमेन्स स्टैटिक, एवरीथिंग इज कॉन्स्टेंटली चेंजिंग. आप उसे नोटिस कर पाएँ या नहीं कर पाए, हर पल चीज़ें बदल रही हैं. लेकिन 5 साल 10 साल बाद आपके समझ में आता है कि जैसा था वो अब वो वैसा नहीं है. ऑन डे टू डे बेसिस it is not so easy to perceive that change taken place, which has taken place. What are 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, because of environmental development, sometimes within 6 months, within 6 days also things may change. So changes are taking place. If anything which is perpetual, it is change in this world, in this universe. Everything is constantly evolving. So accordingly, the administration is also required to evolve in accordance with the changes taking place in the environment. Geosynchronous satellite. जानते होंगे, साइंस वाले लोग और अच्छी तरह जानते होंगे. अर्थ का जो रोटेशन है, जहाँ तक मेरे को पता है, गलत हो जाए तो माइंड मत करना, मतलब जो मेरे समझ में आया, अर्थ का जो रोटेशन है ये जैसे से जिस स्पीड से है वो सेटेलाइट भी इसके साथ रिलेटेड टर्म्स में वो स्टैटिक है, इसके साथ ही पेस बना के चल रहा है. बिल्कुल ऐसा ही चाहिए. एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को भी ऐसे, ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है सोसाइटी के सेंटर में, एंड सोसाइटी इज कॉन्स्टेंटली इवॉल्विंग. तो जिस पेस से सोसाइटी इवॉल्व कर रही है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वहीं रह जाएगा तो क्या होगा? फ्रिक्शन. एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन विल फेल टू मीट द रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ सोसाइटी. If society is evolving, changing, then accordingly administration is also evolving and changing. That is dynamism. In this way, friction can be avoided. Needs and aspirations of society can be taken care of by this administration. Point clear? So environmental dynamism. Changes which are taking place in the environment, and accordingly you keep bringing desirable changes in your structure or the procedure or behavior, finance, personnel, all such things. In this way, administration remains relevant. Point clear? अब इन सारी बातों को आप मिला दो. हमने डिस्कस किया द वर्ड पब्लिक, ये था पब्लिक, ये है एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. पब्लिक वर्ड के 3 डायमेंशंस हो गए. पब्लिक मीन्स समथिंग एसोसिएटेड विद स्टेट और गवर्नमेंट. सेकेंड मीनिंग ऑफ द वर्ड पब्लिक इज कमिटेड टू पब्लिक एट लार्ज, कॉमन मास rather than a particular group or community. Third meaning of public is related to transparency. Not clear? This public, and then एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मीन्स कलेक्टिव एफर्ट. और डेफिनेशंस बहुत सारे हैं बुक्स में, आप पढ़ना. मेरा मकसद यहाँ पे आपको एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रटवाना नहीं है. आप पहले कॉन्सेप्ट समझ लेना, फिर आसानी से कोई भी आप डेफिनेशन समझ जाओगे. ठीक है. एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज कलेक्टिव एफर्ट, इज अबाउट कलेक्टिव एफर्ट. 2 पर्सन मेकिंग कलेक्टिव एफर्ट और मेकिंग अ कोऑपरेटिव एफर्ट, कोऑपरेशन एंड कोऑपरेशन, व्हाट हाउ एंड व्हाई आई हैव डिस्कस्ड. ठीक है. कलेक्टिव एफर्ट and this collective effort is not enough. Of finance, personal, and environmental dynamism. In this way, administration comes into existence. So the word public and then organized collective effort. Because of these factors, this is administration, this is public. This is known as public administration. Public administration is basically government's administration. Public administration brings within its purview sum total of all those activities and institutions which act on behalf of all the activities and institutions working on behalf of the state or government towards the accomplishment of the common end committed to public at large, welfare, development and security. So all such institutions which are associated with the government, whether it is National Green Tribunal or the Central Secretariat or State Secretariat, institutions associated with local government, municipal corporation, or for that matter the state government or the central government, Because all such institutions, whether it is yeah, for that RBI, or for that matter TRAI, or State Bank of India, or for that matter MTNL or BSNL, or National Green Tribunal, or Central Administrative Tribunal. So whichever institution agencies you find which is associated with the state or government is a part of public administration, and they carry out different types of activities to provide different types of services to the society. Okay? As the society becomes complex, if the society becomes more aspirational, the structure and operational domain of public administration also undergo expansion. सोसाइटी सिंपल है, उसके डिमांड्स बहुत ही सिंपल थे एंशिएंट पीरियड में. ठीक है, सोसाइटी अग्रेरियन सोसाइटी है, उस समय मोनार्की हुआ करती थी. तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कंसर्न किन चीज़ों से? बस लॉ एंड ऑर्डर मेंटेनेंस, कलेक्शन ऑफ रेवेन्यू, वार मैनेजमेंट, काम खत्म. बट आज सोसाइटी अलग है, मॉडर्न डेमोक्रेटिक वेलफेयर स्टेट. लोगों के एक्सपेक्टेशंस बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत सारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज ले ली है. गवर्नमेंट ने जितनी ज़्यादा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज ले ली है उतना ही ज़्यादा काम बढ़ गया पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का. सो देयरफॉर पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, द स्कोप ऑफ एक्टिविटीज एंड फंक्शंस associated with public administration has to do with the nature of the society, the nature of the society, the nature of the state or government. एक warfare state होगा तो public administration का रोल बहुत ही लिमिटेड होगा. ठीक है, एक वेलफेयर स्टेट होगा तो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का रोल मल्टीफेरियस होगा. हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, सोशल जस्टिस, वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट, सब चीज़ें होंगी. एक अग्रीन सोसाइटी अगर होगी तो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का रोल लिमिटेड होगा, वो बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं होगा. ठीक है, इंडस्ट्रियल सोसाइटी अगर होगी तो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रोल एंड सिग्निफिकेंस विल बी डिफरेंट. इसकी एक्टिविटीज़ बहुत ज़्यादा होंगी, नंबर ऑफ एक्टिविटीज़ टू इन्फोर्स राइट्स एंड ऑब्लिगेशंस बिटवीन डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स एंड कम्युनिटीज़. ठीक है, एक सोशलिस्ट स्टेट होगा और एक कैपिटलिस्ट स्टेट है. द रोल ऑफ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन विल बी डिफरेंट. दैट विल बी डिस्कस्ड इन द नेक्स्ट series of lectures. Up to this point, it is clear. Public and administration, public administration. Clear? और इसके relevant diagram. And then public administration, 3 dimensions of public administration. Public control of activities. In terms of public administration can be seen as some institutions. They can a discipline of study, a discipline of any subject matter, like just as you have a discipline in political science or psychology or their subjects, similarly you have public administration. This is the academic side of public administration. And in terms of activities, public administration is as human civilization. If you take public administration in terms of planning or controlling or managing things, then it is difficult to identify the point of origin of public administration. It has been in continuance during आपने हिस्ट्री में पढ़ा होगा, इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन में भी किसी न किसी तरीके का एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जरूर रहा होगा. ठीक है, हम लोग अभी तक पूरी तरह इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन का रिसर्च अभी कंप्लीट हुआ नहीं फॉर द स्क्रिप्ट ऑफ हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन, बट देयर इज नो डाउट archaeological evidences clearly suggest that the lanes used to cut across each other at 90-degree angle. ठीक है, then upper mounts, lower mounts, residential areas, then the city planning, the grid system was more or less similar in 2 or more cities. The distance between Harappa and Mohenjo-daro was more than 480 kilometers, 450 kilometers something, but still the size of the brick was same. It means there was some kind of administration. There were some people authorized by the state. They were capable of enforcing rules and regulations, capable of enforcing some standard that the work has to be done in this way. Otherwise, there would not be so much of uniformity, in the city plan or the management of affairs in the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. So some kind of administration was there. The nature of administration, a scope of administration, the functions of administration, its equation of relationship with the political leadership, this has been the subject matter of debate and discussion. It has kept on changing from time to time. But this is not question. This is not so much a question of debate and discussion that whether administration was there or not. So administration in one or other form has always been an integral part of all civilized societies. What is clear? Even today, on the basis of the quality of administration, efficiency of administration, we build perception about any society being civilized or not so civilized, advanced or not so advanced. So administration holds a lot of significance. So administration institutions came into existence recent public administration subject as a discipline. Public administration as a subject, as a discipline of study, is comparatively of recent origin. It was Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson is known as the father of the study of public administration. In 1885 of administration, which to introduce intellectual process, study and investigation, and in the of time that gave birth to public administration as a separate discipline. Woodrow Wilson is the study of public administration. I don't mean to say that public administration came into existence because of Woodrow Wilson. Lot of developments had already taken place, before Woodrow Wilson. But Woodrow Wilson, more than other scholars, more than his predecessors, he emphasized quite convincingly the necessity of studying public administration separately from political science. What I mean to say, that public administration was there, but for a long period of time, public administration continued its journey as a part of political science only. As a part of political science. It was in the latter decades of the 19th century that Woodrow Wilson and many other scholars realized the necessity of studying public administration separately, or should be taken, or they realize that public administration needs to be taken out of the realm of political science. I will discuss that in detail when I come to deliver what public administration, and just of public administration in general, scholars, public bureaucracy operating in a political with the aid of the state, sovereign will, the public interest and laws. Then it is the business side of the government, and as such concerned with policy execution, but it is also concerned with policy making. It covers all three branches of the government, although it tends to concentrate more on the functions of the executive branch of the government. It carries out regulatory, facilitatory, adjudicative, protective, and several developmental functions I have discussed, to improve the quality of life of people. Then it differs significantly from private administration, especially and public. What is clear? So I know this is not clear. I have not discussed all such things. So, बहुत सारी बातें एक दिन कर लेने से दिक्कत है. आज आप लोग इतना ही समझो, धीरे धीरे हम लोग फिर आगे डील करेंगे. अभी आपने समझा कोऑपरेशन, और फिर ऑर्गेनाइज्ड कोऑपरेशन, कोऑर्डिनेशन, फिर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, collective effort, organized collective effort, and then we discuss किया the word public, three dimensions of the word public, और दोनों साथ में आ गए public plus administration, known as public administration. Public administration is basically government's administration. It is difficult to think of any civilized society without some kind of law, some kind of administration in the center. Why? Because we differ from one another in terms of our likes, dislikes, and preferences. So unless there is something, there is some kind of institutional arrangement in the center of society to define what is right and what is wrong on the basis of the larger collective interest. So we cannot think of a stable life. We cannot think of a stable socio-economic life. Therefore, administration in one other form, or public administration, has always been an integral part of all civilized society. Point is clear? You need to bring some basic minimum uniformity. 140 करोड़ लोग, just imagine, आप तो 140 करोड़ छोड़ दो, छोटा ही गांव ही ले लो अगर, अब 500,000 लोग ही रहते हैं, सबके अपने अपने अलग अलग लाइक्स, डिसलाइक्स, प्रेफरेंसेस, हम सब एक दूसरे से अलग हैं. इसलिए हमें कोई ना कोई एक लॉ, रूल्स, रेगुलेशंस, कुछ वैल्यू सिस्टम, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, इन सब की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. Otherwise, people will not respect the rights of one another. When you think of a stable society, when you think of a stable, happy, and prosperous society, the first requirement is this: the people are made to learn, to be able to enjoy their rights and to respect the rights of others. They need duty. अब हर कोई गौतम बुद्ध की तरह एनलाइटेंड तो नहीं हो जाएगा. हर किसी, गौतम बुद्ध तो खैर बहुत बड़ी बात हो गई, मतलब इतना आप एक्सपेक्ट हमेशा लोगों से नहीं कर सकते. कुछ लोग काफ़ी अच्छे आज हो सकते हैं, कल उनके साथ क्या होगा, उनका मूड कैसा होगा, उनका नेचर कैसा होगा, कुछ नहीं कह सकते हैं. सो वी कैन नॉट टेक एनी चांस. So if you want to live in a civilized society, you need some kind of impersonal arrangement. You need to make the people conform to certain do's and don'ts which are required for the larger collective interest of the society. After that you are free to exercise your discretion. तुम्हें घर में क्या खाना खाना है, तुम्हें शीर्षासन करके सोना है, कूदना है, फांदना है, जो करना है अपने घर के अंदर। लेकिन घर से बाहर अगर आप निकलोगे तो फिर आपको कंडक्ट फॉलो करना पड़ेगा। वो लॉ के थ्रू इन्फोर्स किया जाएगा, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की टीम रहेगी, वो करेगी। इसके बगैर आप सिविलाइज सोसाइटी के बारे में, हम सब लोग फ्रीडम चाहते हैं। मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा लॉ रूल्स रेगुलेशन किसी को पसंद नहीं है, बट ट्राई टू लिव इन ए सिविलाइज्ड सोसाइटी। आप ये मान कि फ्रीडम को प्रोटेक्ट करता है। ठीक, आप लेफ्ट साइड ड्राइव करते हैं, अपने नियम से ड्राइव कीजिए, आपके फ्रीडम को ट्रैफिक पुलिस जो है वो प्रोटेक्ट करेगी। तो कोई अगर रॉन्ग साइड से अगर आ रहा है तो चालान उसका कटेगा, आपका नहीं। आपको पता है कि बस इस ढंग से आपको गाड़ी चलानी है, लेफ्ट साइड में आप गाड़ी चलाएंगे, जैसा नियम जिस देश में जैसा है। तो लॉ हमेशा, लॉ कई जगह पर रेस्ट्रिक्ट भी करता है अगर आप गलत देखें तो, और लॉ आपको प्रोटेक्ट भी करता है उन लोगों के अगेंस्ट में जो आपके फ्रीडम को रेस्ट्रिक्ट कर सकते हैं या करना चाहते हैं। पॉइंट क्लियर? सो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ ऑल सिविलाइज्ड सोसाइटीज। और बाकी और बातें हैं पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की, वो हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे। आज के लिए काफ़ी है पब्लिक एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, अब फिर रिपीट नहीं करेंगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू।